G'day Crustacean Nation, SirPrawnAlot here with another video. Today we're doing a bit of an update on all of the tanks that I have and sort of what's been going on with my fish, with my shrimp, just giving an overall view. It's been a while since we've done anything like this, so I thought it was about time. And there's also other things I'm gonna sort of share and talk about as well, so stay tuned for that. I am going to do this tank by tank and sort of explain everything that's been going on with each tank. So I'm going to start ahead with Doc Derpy's tank over here, or as I like to call it, the jungle. So as I said, I do call this tank the jungle, and if you have a quick glance at it, you can probably work out why. It has just grown in with a bunch of plants and also algae, and it just looks pretty cool, pretty dark in some spots, very mysterious. Doc Derpy, my betta in here, the blue betta, he's always lurking around somewhere. We also have some corridors in here that are sort of, shuffling their way through, and I just think it gives that real jungle vibe. You can't really see it because of the algae, but there is this really nice piece of wood in here, and it's like a big tree. That's why I call it the jungle. This tank was originally a divided tank. Sadly, at the end of last year, we lost Simba, my orange betta fish. He was my first betta fish, and he was with me for quite a while. He was on the channel all the time, people loved him, and I always sort of said that Simba's like the lion, he's like the king of the jungle, so I think it's fitting to, name this the jungle and keep that going. And Doc Derpy has it all to himself because obviously we took down the divider. Some of you may be looking at this algae here and going like, why is there algae everywhere? And some of it I do remove, but a lot of it I really like. For example, this stuff here, in my opinion, looks really nice on the wood. It's almost like a moss. It's not out of hand, like it's not growing through the water, it's not flowing around. This little spot here, that's probably out of hand, but it's really easy to remove as well. You just go along with your hand or anything really, and you can just pick it up and out. So I'm not too fussed with the algae in this tank. If anything, I'm a fan of the algae in the tank, but it does still need maintenance like the plants. Speaking of the plant maintenance, there are a few plants doing some wild things in here that I definitely need to clean up. But I have a big plan for this tank, which is removing all the shrimp and then moving some new shrimp in. So as you can see here down the bottom, we have a lot of cherry shrimp. I have also thrown in some culls from my black shrimp tank, so if you do see some darker ones like this one here, that's where he's from. And I've sort of just gone like whatever with this tank, there can be all sorts of shrimp in here. As I said before, there are 3 cories in here as well. They've been in here for ages, ever since I took down the tank out in the kitchen, and they're loving it. They've cleaned up the sand pretty well. They're always digging through it. I'm really enjoying them being in this tank, and I'm pretty happy with keeping them in here. They are the Sturbers or Sturbers corridors. Really nice, probably my favourite fish all round, and I'm looking forward to getting some more cories in the future. The last thing in this tank that I'll briefly mention is the population of snails. You probably noticed there's a few snails getting around, and if you follow the channel closely, you'll know that I'm not a huge fan of having snails in the tank, especially ones that will just, make babies willy-nilly. And we've sort of got a bit of an invasion here of, I believe, ram's horn snails, which isn't ideal. They're not really causing too many problems in this tank, but I'm just not a fan of having them around. If they get, in places, you squish them accidentally, you're trying to clean things and they just get in the way a little bit. But there is a much worse invasion of snails going on in the next tank over. This is my Blue Dream shrimp tank, and as you can see, there's a ridiculous amount of snails in here, and not many Blue Dreams. So I had guppies in this tank for quite a while with the Blue Dreams, and I had really good success with guppies. It just happens, that's just guppies, that's what how it goes. But I wasn't happy with how my Blue Dreams were going, so I decided to get rid of all the guppies and pop in the Blue Dreams on their own. And along the way, somewhere, snails from this tank have managed to get into here. Whether there was a snail in a net or they've just crawled across because it's on the same level, I'm not sure. But either way, there are snails everywhere in this tank. I haven't yet cracked down on the snails. I have a snail trap, and I want to set a day where I just try and get as many snails out of this tank as possible. But everywhere you look, there's like 5 snails, which is just pretty bad. And it's not like I overfeed this tank a lot. I think I'm now starting to feed extra for the snails, which probably isn't great. Like as you can see here, there's a bit more algae wafer in there than I usually would have put in, just because I know the snails are going to get around it. The plan of action is to remove all the snails in here, except for two. There are two nearite snails in here somewhere. Last time I checked, they were under that rock there, but I haven't got my hands wet today, so I'm not too sure. But most likely hanging out under that rock or in one of those little clay pots. So when it comes to getting rid of the snails, I don't plan on killing them. I know no planaria, which is something that I have to get rid of planaria. I know that can kill snails, and I do have some of that, but I don't think that's the path I want to go. Obviously, lots of dead things in the tank aren't going to be good for the tank, so I'm pretty happy with just, you know, scooping them out. The tank is pretty clean and bare, so it won't be hard to do that. It'll just take a while. So about a month ago, we did have some baby shrimp in this tank, some baby blue dreams. I don't know if they've just grown up or if they're hiding at the moment, but they are around every now and then. We have maybe 8 blue dreams in this tank, so it's still going pretty slow, but I think with a bit more time, things are going to look better. I do plan on moving these blue dreams into the tank with Doc Derpy though, and that could go two ways. They might not do well with the change, and they might be eaten, but I doubt it. I think they've got a good chance in there. Obviously, I'm going to be removing the cherry shrimp and all the shrimp in that tank first, so that'll be a bit of a process before we get there. So hopefully by then we'll have some more blue dreams in this tank. When I do move the blue dreams out, I'm definitely going to be rescaping, replanning this completely. I don't think I'll keep it as more of a breeding tank. I think I'll set it up as just a nice aquascape / fish tank. So now we move on to a tank that has sort of been the bane of my existence at the moment. This is my Tangerine tiger tank, and it has kind of just been struggling, and I've been struggling with the Tangerine tigers. I get a random death every week or so, not necessarily with a water change either, it's just random. Not really sure why exactly. I don't feed them a lot. There's a little bit of food in there at the moment, but yeah, I can't put my finger on it. Every time I check the parameters, it's, you know, all matching up with the last time I checked and doesn't seem off, so something's going on, and I can't really keep up with it. Obviously, a lot of algae in this tank. It was much worse, and I've changed the lighting schedule, and I think I just need to get in there and really remove quite a bit of the algae. Pretty much every time I show this tank off though, there's always algae, it's always going on, and this is sort of the algae that I'm not a fan of. It's a bit too flowy and it breaks up quite easily. But this tank, I'm thinking of doing a bit of a rescape, maybe even moving the Tangerine tigers into a different tank and just seeing how they go. With that said though, I think this tank has been a good sort of test to see how it's going and see how, you know, Carradine and shrimp do, or how I can do with them. But I just think I need to learn a bit more and maybe work out a better way of doing things like water changes and feeding and things like that. So going from 2 tanks where there hasn't been much success to this tank is pretty funny. I say it's funny because the amount of success in this tank is ridiculous. These are the black rose shrimp that I received from Blake's Aquatics in this tank, and it's just them alone, nothing else, and it has been ridiculously successful. There have been some really cool shrimp in here, and if you've been watching the stream, you've seen me culling them and making sure they're somewhat up to standard. With that said, there's a few in there that sneak by, so maybe we'll catch one today. But there's just always babies in here, there's always buried females, there's always something going on in this tank. As you can see at the moment, there's a lot of babies everywhere, and I can't really put my finger on why they've been so successful. Obviously no fish in the tank is probably one of the big reasons. With that said, my cherry shrimp have been going crazy and there's a bedder in there, but this tank has been non-stop good shrimp breeding. From the first week that I put the shrimp in to now, there's been babies almost weekly, and just always something going on, and it's actually hard to keep up with the shrimp, you know, making sure that I cull the brown or the rusty reds or the blues. I can see one right now, just gonna go ahead and grab that. I'm really happy with how this tank has been coming along. I think it looks really nice as well, even though it's just a shrimp breeding tank. I think it looks pretty cool, just my opinion. If you are interested in how this tank was set up, there are videos on my channel of that. and there's videos for pretty much everything else except for the blue dreams. So if you are curious in, you know, how it got set up, how it got to this point, definitely recommend going for a bit of a scroll through my older videos. So this is the last tank on the rack. We have one more tank to check out, and then we'll probably have a chat about some of my plans. The final tank that doesn't really need an update, I think the last video I did was actually on this tank, but this is the Archway Aquascape. We did add in some crypts last time I showed it off, and they have grown in really well. Really happy with how they've been going. We still have a bunch of Ember Tetras in here and 2 little Bristlenose. They're all a bit dazed at the moment because the lights went out maybe 2 hours ago, so I think they're all trying to wake up. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this tank has been going. I still want to add some shrimp to it. I just haven't worked out what shrimp I want to put in here. Maybe the Tangerine Tigers, just because we have the ADA soil in here, so I know the pH will be a bit lower. A few things to note on this tank is there has been this slight bit of algae coming through the Java moss, so I've been removing most of the Java moss. It also seems to get a bit brown as well, which I'm not a huge fan of. The wood is already brown enough, so having brown sort of plants on there doesn't really work. I am a pretty big fan of how the Java moss and the Anubias has been going in this tank. I do think I will purchase some more and try and remove as much, or if not all, of the Java moss in the tank, just so I can end up having this whole big piece of driftwood covered in Java Fern and Anubias. I did also say in the previous video about this tank, but I do want to plant in the back as well. I think I might go with some bigger crypts or maybe some Java Fern. Still not 100% decided, so I think I'll wait until I sort of do a big plant order. Maybe throw in some stem plants as well and just see how we go. So that does it for the fish tanks. Obviously I have the tub outside. I think I'll hold that off until a later video and just do a whole video dedicated to the tub, talk about what's going on in there, even do the old GoPro trick and get some underwater footage. But yeah, that's what's been going on, I guess. Not a whole lot. I do have some plans on, like I said, changing up some tanks, moving the shrimp from there into there, moving the shrimp that are in there out. And all sorts. I would like to apologise for the lack of streams and videos. This has become a bit of an occurrence, which I'm not happy with. I want to put more stuff out, and it's not a lack of me wanting to do them, it's a lack of me being happy with the stuff that I'm putting out. For instance, I had a video on this tank where I cleaned everything up and made it look a bit nicer, and ended up trashing that completely. Just wasn't happy with it. Same with unboxing and testing out a few other gadgets. There's a few things that I wanted to show off and try and share, but you know, the gadgets didn't work, and then the other things didn't work, and I didn't film it properly, and this and that. Pretty much just excuses. But yeah, if I'm not happy with it, I don't want to put it out to you guys. You may have noticed a couple of YouTube shorts that I put out. I was sort of just testing the water on them, and I do really enjoy making them. They're very easy to make, and my videos aren't too crazy when it comes to those little shorts. They're just short little videos of some footage that I have. As you may have seen through this video, I do enjoy just taking random bits of footage of my fish or shrimp. If I notice that they're being extremely active for some reason, or if they're just munching on food, I'm always curious to sort of film it and just have a look at what's going on. So I think my content does fit into that very well, but it's not something that's going to take over my channel. I do really love the community that we have and the videos that I put out, the feedback that I get, and that's what it was all about. So that's what we're going to stick with. I really enjoy having the streams and having that instant feedback and having a bit of fun and talking about something with you guys. One thing that I really enjoy about this, it is the community and being able to collaborate and talk with you guys and work out fun little games. Planning, I want to do more things like that, and things like giveaways as well. Just things that I think are fun and that you guys enjoy. And obviously one of those things is more content, so I'm gonna have a few videos out soon. quote that from SirPrawnAlot. But I do plan on having a bunch more videos out, you know, getting the ball rolling and keep doing things. It's just hard when things have been somewhat stagnant and also just not hitting the right spot with those videos. So if you have watched the video this far in, thank you very much for sticking around and waiting till the end. Means a lot to me, and I hope you've enjoyed the update. Covered a lot of good stuff here, I think. And like I said, more videos gonna come. We have a package to open from Blake's Aquatics, so stay tuned for that video. That should come out pretty soon. and obviously other things to do. So thank you very much for watching, and as always, stay crusty.